And so one of the things that I just found like incredibly interesting was the really cool aspect of you guys going back in time and really just documenting in such depth just how the TCG evolved over time, started, and how like different strategies and metas were taken around, in different eras.
And this is particularly for new players. A lot of them will come in and expect it to be like other card games, and while it is in some ways, when it comes to how decks are structured, Pokemon's just so reliably drawable. The best thing you can do to start is look up a meta deck, build or proxy the meta deck, learn it, play it. You'll understand the game so much faster. I would even recommend, especially it's pretty accessible through virtual consoles or emulators, is just play the Game Boy game. It has a really good tutorial. It teaches you the basics really well, and it's super streamlined. So it's a great way to experience the game for the first time.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Skill Link podcast, where we chat and get to know passionate content creators, competitive players, and all voices who continue to make the Pokemon community incredible. And today's guests are a team dedicated to the telling of the competitive history of the Pokemon TCG through deck lists, in-depth analysis, and retro gameplay. If you collect the cards, play the game, or just have a collection stowed away somewhere in a dusty attic, join them as they travel to and learn from the past. Pokemon nostalgia lives here. It's the Ruby Retro team. We got Aaron, Nicholas, and the third member, Alex, as well, who's not with us, but welcome.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Yeah. No, we're super pumped. I know we were chatting, of course, before we hit record, but this is been a long time coming. So we're super hyped to have you guys on. So excited to dive into it. So yeah.
Kind of we were talking initially kind of how you guys were one of the first channels that I was looking at least, because Josh and I kind of both had like a little list that we were preparing when we started back in October of last year. And so one of the things that I just found like incredibly interesting was the really cool aspect of you guys going back in time and really just documenting in such depth just how the TCG evolved over time, started, and how like different strategies and metas were taken around, in different eras. And so we were just super hyped. I know Josh, he's a big card collector and is into the game as well. And so we're just super hyped to talk to you guys. But before we get into, your content side of things, we really wanted to kind of get to know you guys a little bit more. So we're kind of curious, outside of Pokemon, what interests and hobbies do you guys have that take up your time?
You can kick it off, Aaron.
Oh, sure. Why not? General nerd stuff. I play video games. I hang out with friends. I go to Pokemon League every Tuesday.
Beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So, not much outside of that. Work, mostly.
But other than that, just nerdy stuff, right?
Yeah. Mostly video games, board games. As you can see, I enjoy manga.
I love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you watch anime too?
Oh yeah.
Do you have like a favorite right now? I'm just curious because I'm a big anime guy as well, so I'm always looking for new ones.
So it's a year or two old now, but I recently watched one called Skate the Infinite. It's a non-manga based anime original, really good. If you haven't seen it.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely add that to my list. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, recommend it.
I've recently gotten into Solo Leveling. I watched that in like a day. I got caught up. So anybody out there who's looking for a good anime, Solo Leveling is excellent. So
nice, awesome. What about you, Nicholas?
So I during the pandemic, I got super into cooking.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah, and so I actually went to law school. I was in my final year of law school when we published the first video, and cooking basically kept me sane through that.
I love that. Do you have like oh no, you go, keep going.
I was just going to say, I think like the best thing that I learned how to do was I got a pasta maker for Christmas, and I love just making fresh pasta, making like stuffed raviolis and stuff with it. It's great.
Dang. Okay,
that sounds really good.
I gotta invest in something like that because over here I'm the cook of the house as well. I also like doing it. I wouldn't say I'm like amazing by any means, but I think I can pump out a decent dish or two. But I want to slowly level up my game with stuff like that. So doing homemade pasta, I feel like that's it's got to be a game changer. So that's cool.
Yeah, and I other than cooking, spend a ton of time going out. I live in a college town, so my girlfriend and I, we do music trivia every week.
Nice.
We're always trying new restaurants, trying new bars, and yeah.
Nice. That's
really
fun. That's cool.
I do got to shout out because, like, you know how, like, in the last couple of Pokemon games, they've had like a food that's like been their theme. So, like, there's curry in Gen 8, there's sandwiches Gen 9. I think Gen 10's got to be stuffed ravioli. Don't you guys think? I just think that sounds amazing.
There we go.
One can hope.
The Pokemon pasta maker. You heard it here, guys.
Yes.
I know, right? Yeah. Each generation, just some new sort of dish. It started super rudimentary with Pokeblocks and Poffins, and now here we are with curry sandwiches and I don't know, stuffed raviolis in Gen 10.
I think they honestly need to come up with like a cookbook or something like that at this point. Like, I think that'd be awesome. Like, get a Pokemon cookbook. It has, some of the things from the actual games, the show.
Yeah,
that'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be great.
Well, it's maybe a little grim, but one of our buddies. So Logan and I also do like a competitive draft league on the side, and one of our buddies in the league, I know he likes to cook stuff as well. And when we'll get together for the championship round, he'll do like some Pokemon themed dishes. And Logan, you have to remind me. I know he's mentioned Slowpoke tails before.
Yeah, we've done.
Which
we've
again,
done
a little grim,
tail.
but like sounded delicious. I can't remember exactly what he had in mind for it, but I was like, oh, okay. So
I'll stick with the Rage candy bars or like my lava cookies.
There you go. To say the stuff that's actual food and maybe not pieces of Pokemon. So yeah.
I mean, I could be wrong. Wasn't the lore say that Slowpoke used to give its tail as a courtesy to help people fight hunger?
I want to say you're right. There's some deep lore like that. Yeah.
like its tail is like a high demand item because I remember and it might be because of that lore because I remember Gen 2, right? You have the whole Slowpoke well instant that you're trying to, protect the Slowpoke from Team Rocket who are, capturing Slowpoke just to have their tails. So it's like there's got to be something all about that because like there is a worth to the tails for some reason, right?
Let's see. I'm looking at the dex entries from Gen 2. It says there's a sweet sap that leaks from the tail. It says that it's so absent-minded that it won't react even if its flavorful tail is bitten, so it goes out of its way to say flavorful tail. But I think the best part is in gold, it says that if something bites its tail, it won't even notice for a full day. So I think that's wow. I think it's hilarious to picture that. It just doesn't realize. But anyways,
that's how Slowbro was born, right there.
I know, right? Yeah. Didn't even realize it, and then a day later, it's like, oh, I evolved. So cool.
But I'm something totally different now.
It's amazing. But we want to ask you guys as well, like kind of specifically about your guys' Pokemon journey. Did you play the games growing up? Did you watch the anime? And then how did you collect the cards? And then how did that transition to getting into the TCG scene?
Yeah, so our stories intertwine at a point, which was really funny. I think Aaron and I both collected the cards growing up. I know I got my first cards from a friend on like a snow day or something, and just really never looked back in like 2001. I can remember it was like Neo Revelation Skiploom or something. It's like one of the first cards I remember getting.
Nice.
But I kind of switched to Yu-Gi-Oh, kind of came back to Pokemon, decided in 2008 I wanted to go to my first tournament, went to a Battle Road, which is like a league challenge, and the format was just, at the time, it was Gardevoir dominant. It was like Gardevoir and Empoleon were the decks, and I didn't know this, so I was like, I have all these Infernape cards, I'm going to bring that deck. And I just got absolutely bodied. But, I really stuck with it. I, got my play sets of playable cards. I started showing up more and more to tournaments. And in 2010, in the fall of 2010, I went to Pokemon League on a fateful Thursday and with my Lux Chomp deck. And who should be there for his first Pokemon League but Aaron.
There we go.
with his electric deck. And obviously I said, let's play. Aaron flips over like a base set Pikachu and like a base set Electabuzz and no sleeves.
Amazing.
Gets Dragon Rush immediately and loses the game.
And that's the villain origin story right there. Yeah. I love it.
Been friends ever since.
That's awesome.
I love that. That's amazing. And so, Aaron, what about you, man? Did you get started at the TCG? Play the games at all? What's going on there?
So for me, I definitely started with the video games. I did collect the cards. So I basically been playing the video games since they came out, maybe like 6 months
Yeah.
after that, rather.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my first exposure. There was these VHSs that Pokemon would mail out to like demo the anime before it premiered,
Oh
and there was
yeah.
also a commercial on that for the Game Boy games. So obviously I wanted it. I ended up getting it from a friend after he got Yellow. So whenever Yellow came out is when I got Red.
Okay. Yeah, that's about me too.
And then everything from there is history. Collecting cards, I never played the game until 2010, as you heard. So I was very seldomly able to buy them. So my initial goal was like, I want one of each Pokemon, right? Which seems like a pretty simple goal in today's terms, but
Right.
that was my goal for my whole life until 2010, and then I was like, dang, I need to get modern cards.
I love.
But the great thing about Aaron is like one of his first forays into modern cards was he had this Tyranitar Prime deck that
Okay.
True.
he was like, this deck's so good, like it's so good. And like Tyranitar Prime, good card. But what Aaron did was he read like you can have as many energies as you want in your deck and just played like 9 special darks or something.
Amazing.
Oh yeah.
I love.
I wanted to run more basic dark because they're more searchable, but I only had like 3, and I was like, I'll just throw in the special darks that I have.
The special darks in there. Yeah, call it a day. That's awesome.
I love it. And so I guess also kind of like following this thread here. So how is it that you guys got started making a YouTube channel together with Alex as well? Like what's the story behind that, and getting into the TCG history?
Yeah, so during COVID, since League wasn't going on, I would still go over to like Aaron's house on League nights, and we would play retro decks. Like we'd had retro decks for a while at that point. And hi, Vinny. And
Vinny.
What ended up happening was I was like, yeah, like I was messing around on YouTube, like I was bored the other day, and I found this really sweet Yu-Gi-Oh history channel. And it's not like the 2-hour one that everyone thinks about. That's like the history from like 2002 to 2005. It's this guy named Janjo, and he had like all of these Yu-Gi-Oh history videos for all these different formats in Yu-Gi-Oh, and I like binged them, and I like told Aaron like, you got to watch this. We're putting this on while we play, and Aaron and I was like, it'd be so cool, like if someone did this. Like I feel like this is just missing from us. And Aaron goes, well, we could do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love it. That's so cool. That's great. And so I guess now kind of like delving into your content on the side of things of that nature, we're kind of curious. So, you have a bunch of fun videos up, with various different areas that you guys are looking into and researching. We're kind of curious. So what is the process that you guys as a team does to begin researching the topic, creating the video, mapping out the main points and things like that? We're just kind of curious, what does that look like? Because it's not a small feat by any means. I mean, just watching through, it's an hour long at least, and you guys are going into the nitty gritty of what really happened in each era. So I'm just kind of curious on that end of things.
Yeah, so I start it, like I start writing the script, I start doing the researching, I kind of talk to Aaron a little bit as to like what I'm thinking it's going to look like, what I'm thinking we're going to do the episode on. But then like I finish the script, I do the recording, and I turn it over to Aaron, like I'm going to now, and he takes it from there.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
underselling himself, Nick also, contacts players and other people who are interested in contributing, gets resources, writes in editing ideas in his scripts, etc. Asks me for advice or input. Sometimes I reply. I'm real bad about not replying sometimes. But yeah, once we're done with that part, it gets to me. I basically just take the audio, make it sound as clean as I can, throw in Alex's very sick remixes, and then start editing video, which for me, I don't have a professional editing background of any kind. I just kind of go with the flow. listen to a
Mhm.
line 100 times until I'm like, I know it could go here, and then I throw it on top and hope that it works out.
Right.
Well, and Aaron's also underselling himself on the editing. I remember when we were doing the first video. In the first video, we recorded it, I think, in like August. It took 4 months to get it to where we were happy with it. And Aaron came down to my apartment at law school to record the follow-up video because I didn't have a microphone at that point. But in that, he was like, yeah, I have like the first few minutes done. Like, check this out. And it just completely blew me away because he's like, I don't have an editing background. Like, be kind. Like, this is what I have. And it was ridiculous how good it was from just like the first take.
Mm-hmm.
And we got Alex involved because on our second video, so we tried using like copyright free music because we weren't really sure like what we wanted to do composition wise, and Alex and Aaron worked on the intro, but we weren't really sure what we wanted to do for background music. And on our second video, it actually got demonetized from one of the copyrighted songs.
Oh shoot!
And so at that point, Aaron was like, well, Alex wrote the intro, like we could probably get him on board to just like cover some songs. So in like my work, I have an office job. I like put on a bunch of just Pokemon music and basically just listened to a ton of soundtracks for a couple weeks and sent Aaron a list of ideas. And he and Alex worked together to narrow it down. And then Alex did the music.
That's awesome. I do got to shout out because I was listening to. I mean, like I said, I was prepping, rewatching some of your videos, right? And had the thought in there. I was like, the soundtrack just like is really nice, like
It's perfect,
with the vibes and it was really good. So again, shout out to Alex as well. Even though he's not here, we want to shout out his work there because that was great. And so and I guess kind of along the same note, I'm kind of curious. So like what? Because like the research aspect of it is really interesting because you're looking at almost like in a lot of ways not like like lost information, but it's kind of hidden in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like Aaron mentioned that you, Nick, will go and talk to others. You'll use other sites and things like that. I'm just kind of curious, like what tools and like how do you find information about a lot of this stuff and get the information that you're looking for?
Yeah, so it's definitely evolved over time. Initially, I started just on like Pojo on Killer Duck Reports. They kept all their old stuff up. But it kind of like evolved from there, right? So in the first video, like 1999, there's not a ton of tournaments or anything going on. And so some of that was just like deck lists I'd seen, like that I remembered seeing, like when I was starting to build retro decks. I was like, that's cool. Like, it's not competitive like now, but like looking back, it's cool that this deck has like a Nidoran or like a Jinx in it or something. But then it kind of evolved into, so like as we get more into the Super Trainer showdowns in like the tournament scene, you start getting more lists and like results out there. And so Wizards kind of did an okay job tracking some of it. Around the Neo era is where info really starts falling off, and where I've been using a ton of like Wayback Machine to go on Wizards' old Pokemon websites.
Right.
I've reached out and made contact with a few different people who did well at the Super Trainer showdowns to pick up their like lists. Like one guy, Bruce Long, who was like almost 60 or something when he top cut his STSs.
Wow.
He like dug out his old hard drive for me. This like
That's so
70-year-old
cool.
guy just was like, yeah, give me a day, I got it. Sent lists that like we'd never seen before, sent pictures we'd never seen before. So a lot of it's just kind of like stumbling upon people, but also like I cannot shout out the people who've helped us find the information enough.
That's so cool. That's awesome. It kind of reminds me of like did you know gaming? I don't know if you guys watch that channel at all, but like it's just kind of like a cool undercurrent of like this type of work where you really kind of have to turn over some the paths and things like that to find the information, but the community itself is there to help you and fill in the blanks, which I think is awesome. Like that's so cool that he's just like, let me find my hard drive for you and you can you got it, and that's so cool.
That's like confidential information.
Sorry?
I would say that's like confidential information just provided for you guys. Like you guys got the inside scoop.
Well, Well, and what's crazy too is like a couple of the people are just like, I've been waiting for someone to ask about this. Like no one's asked about
That's
this in like
crazy.
20 years.
And you're like,
That's
we're the
awesome.
people.
So cool.
Technically,
Yeah.
wasn't the Blastoise Mega Battle video lost before we got it?
Yeah. So the Blastoise Mega Battle video, I put out a tweet about it because like Aaron and I saw on this website that it was like they knew the footage existed, but like no one had a copy of it. And so I
Wow.
was like, we're gonna track this down. Like, there's got to be somebody who has like an old media recording of it somewhere. And
Yeah.
this Japanese guy reached out to me on Twitter and was like, hey, like no names basis. I don't want Nintendo getting me in trouble or whatever. But he was like, send me your Google Drive and I'll upload it for you. And he had this guy, he got a copy from a guy who has like one of the original recordings that's now on, like, he's burned it to a DVD and burned this guy a copy and just uploaded this video from 25 years ago, which is crazy.
That's insane. Wow.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
So I want to ask you now, as well as you guys kind of go back and look at these old tournaments again, these old deck lists, these old eras and stuff like that. Has there been a favorite, whether it's a specific tournament where someone did something really unique, or a specific year or a specific era where maybe a specific meta was really in vogue, that something you've really enjoyed researching so far along those lines? And is there anything that you guys are maybe looking forward to researching in the future as far as different years or other eras of the TCG?
You want to start, Aaron?
So as not the researcher, I wouldn't say I've researched it, but a moment that I remember well is when Ross Cawthorn brought his The Truth deck to Worlds and just kind of blew everyone away by coming up with this ridiculous deck the day before. I thought it was a really cool story. Kind of inspired me to just try wacky decks for a couple years, which didn't work out at all, but it was
Turns
fun.
out that strategy doesn't work for everyone, right?
Yeah. But it was fun.
That's cool.
So that sticks out in my mind. Yeah, that's it. That's probably the
One of the
biggest one for me.
That's amazing.
That's really cool.
I think for me it was I really like the Blastoise Mega Battle video, and not because like we have the tournament footage of it, but there's something about like knowing that everyone, like the card everyone wanted, the Charizard, actually won a tournament.
Yeah.
Because in doing some of the research, like there are these things that were like tropical mega battles that like really weren't serious tournaments, but they brought all these kids from like America and Japan together to play. And this one American used a Charizard deck, and he was like, yeah, like it was terrible, I didn't do well, like whatever. But then, seeing that, hey, like there's reports out there that Charizard won the Blastoise Mega Battle. And I was like, okay, like whatever. But there's something like so just satisfying about in that video, seeing the kid just slam down the breeder and get the Charizard out. Like that's epic.
That's iconic. I was gonna say, that's amazing.
And I kind of love that, it's the Blastoise Mega Battle, but Charizard got the victory. Like, I just kind of think that's just kind of ironic justice. And we have a friend, one of our friends who it's actually the same who he's into cooking and stuff like that, and he's a big Blastoise fan. So he's gonna be upset that I'm happy about Charizard beating out Blastoise, but or taking the glory away from it, right? Oh, I love that so much. That's so cool. And I just think it's like such a unique aspect to be able to look back through this information through the time and really see like you were mentioning, Aaron, with the epic legends of like, because I kind of feel like there's we have like Wolf VGC, who's he's really popular because on the VGC side, probably the most known name in Pokemon, probably most, but it's really fun to kind of see those that history and those legends who are there still for the incredible things that they've done, and shouting them out as well. So I think that's awesome. And then like you mentioned, the winning of the Charizard, that's a lot of fun, and it's just unique aspects of the game that I feel like wouldn't get called out unless you guys did so, right? So I just gotta applaud you again in your work there. That's so cool. And in kind of this in this aspect of, researching so many different areas, seeing, different tournament play throughout the years, how the game's evolved. I'm just kind of curious, do you guys have any insights that maybe you think would be helpful for players nowadays, like a lesson that they could use or a lesson that they can keep in mind, and maybe one thing that like they maybe should ignore from, like, like seeing all this, like how's the history, like the mistakes of the past are still seeping in there. So I'm just curious, is there like a tip that you feel like they could use, and then maybe something that the community or the players can be like, hey, that's a mistake from for forever, let's leave this alone now.
Do you want me to start, Aaron?
Yeah, go for it.
The one that like immediately comes to my mind is playing off your board, like playing off of your board state, is incredibly powerful. And almost every point in the game, when there's been a Pokemon that can just play off of like whatever's on the bench, it's always really good. Like Zoroark plays off the board. Electric, like there's a Blaziken that does the same thing as Electric with fire energies, like from 04. Like it could play off the board. So like you're not reliant late game on like finding pieces to win, because like you've spent a lot of your early game setup building your board to the point where it doesn't matter what you have in hand. You can just kind of sit there and play with it.
Right. That makes sense.
For me, I would add, and this is particularly for new players, a lot of them will come in and expect it to be like other card games, and while it is in some ways, when it comes to how decks are structured, Pokemon's just so reliably drawable.
Yeah, I would agree on that.
That it's like you got to build the deck for consistency more so than having things you'll want when you're thinking about the fun of the game. And also, a lot of players will not want to ask for help, or will just kind of keep gunning it until they figure it out. But the best thing you can do to start is look up a meta deck, build or proxy the meta deck, learn it, play it. You'll understand the game so much faster. Play with someone who can tell you what plays to make win until you feel like you got a good grasp, and then you can start exploring it on your own.
Get a little more creative. Yeah. I like that idea of not being afraid to just, you just, like you said, use a meta deck, use what has kind of been proven to be good. That's, at least somewhat decently optimized. That way, for someone who is a novice, that they do have those margins for error. Because as far as learning the game, I mean, it's funny because it's kind of the same with competitive Pokemon on the console as well, where you want to try and minimize the RNG as much as possible. Where if RNG or if bad draws from your deck are really throwing off your game plan that much, then maybe you need to take a step back and kind of reevaluate what your deck looks like or what your what your team looks like, so you can kind of minimize those margins. So I think those are good tips for novice players, regardless of the era that we're in. And I guess I want to ask as well, what would you say is the best way for someone to practice the game nowadays, and specifically older eras? Is it just as simple as, hopping onto some sort of server online and doing something, or like local tournament? How would you recommend someone go about practicing an older era of the TCG?
TCG 1 is great. It's not the most user-friendly interface, but there's a video out there from I think it's the Lost Zone TCG, who kind of really walks through how to use it.
TCG 1 is cool.
I think that's a great way to connect with people, especially if you don't have anyone locally like Aaron or I that have a million old decks.
I would even recommend, especially it's pretty accessible through virtual consoles or emulators, is just play the Game Boy game. It has a really good tutorial. It teaches you the basics really well, and it's super streamlined. So it's a great way to experience the game for the first time.
And it's nostalgic really cool too. So it's a win-win.
If I remember correctly, I think the TCG game, like the video game, has a pretty good soundtrack as well. I could be wrong on that. Like if I remember, remembering some of the really songs are really nice in that one too.
Yeah, it doesn't have a ton, but they're all bangers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I'm kind of following this thread as well. We're kind of curious. So what are some of the biggest ways that you guys have seen through your research that how the TCG has changed? Obviously, we have like mechanics and we have EX, Prime, GX, EX, all those, different kind of eras and things like that. But we're just kind of curious, what are some of the other big ways that the game has evolved over time?
Oh gosh. I think it's gotten. I don't want to be one of those people that says it's gotten a lot simpler because I don't necessarily think it has. I think there's still a lot of intricacies within it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the cards have just gotten a lot bigger.
Okay.
And I think Pokemon. One of the things that really frustrates me is they really lean into power creep. When I don't think they necessarily need to do that as much because they're rotating cards out every year.
Yeah.
And so like from when like I started playing, I can remember when Diamond and Pearl came out and I was like, these cards are crazy, like 60 HP on a basic. What do you mean?
I remember that.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm used to like 50 and 40, and like Diamond and Pearl was really like when they started noticeably bumping up HP and like damage that they haven't kept damage pace as much. There's a lot of grindy formats you can play out there, but I think like kind of that era is when you see HP really start creeping up, and then Black and White, they're just like whatever,
it's out the door. Yeah.
Throw caution to the wind.
Yeah.
That's
love
crazy. We kind of touched on this earlier as well, but one of the cool things that I also enjoy a lot about your channel is this aspect of collaboration and bringing on other content creators, not only kind of getting their expertise and their kind of their twist on things, but also like highlighting them and kind of giving them a chance to step into the spotlight for a couple of minutes and strut their stuff. Tell about what it means to kind of be a part of a community like that, where you can collaborate with these people who have great insights, very knowledgeable. But I know I've personally subscribed to a couple of other people that you've brought onto the channel as well. So tell us more about that process and what that means to you guys.
So some of them we're friends with, some we know through the internet, but all of them are great people, great content creators. Mm-hmm. We're happy to always team up with or feature smaller creators who, I mean, not that we're huge or anything, we're still small creators, but, we have a platform still above some of the other ones, and we're happy to platform them on ours, because it's just Pokemon inherently is such a community-driven game, especially compared to other games. It's very community-heavy, and it's a nice feeling, honestly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the last video in particular, on like the where we had Riley, we had Olin Phantom, we had Shuckle TCG. That one was really fun, and I was really excited when I was writing it because like not only was it 3 features, but it also was like 3 people that I'd consistently been watching and like interacting with on social media, and Shuckle TCG was such a resource when I was getting into the WotC era of the game that I think that other people should just be able to experience some of the great content they put out.
Yeah. No, and I mean we've been around for just a little bit too, but in just the little time we've been out there and been able to like just chat with individuals, in the various spaces that we've been able to talk to, it's super cool to first and foremost. I think kind of what you were saying, Aaron, is that Pokemon is such a tight knit. I mean, because of the way that it's just community is so important with it, and it's really the heart and soul of it, right? And so, like, even kind of in the earlier conversation, it's kind of fun to see, like, even in the competitive scenes of TCG and VGC, to see the similarities, right? Because you guys were talking about, hey, let's start off with a meta deck, and I remember an earlier conversation we had with one of our VGC friends. He was saying something very similar, where he's like, team building is a skill. Like it's a different set of skills than battling, so it's like you have to learn how to do that, and it's kind of fun to see how a lot of these perspectives, we can learn more about the game we love love, or the community that we love, just by, you know, seeing a different perspective or talking it out with someone else who knows their stuff as well. And so it's a lot of fun to be able to kind of be part of that and to really kind of build that out with others. So I just gotta echo what you're saying there. I think that's super, super cool.
Sweet. Well, it's been awesome. Oh yeah, sorry, Logan.
No, you go. You're good.
Okay, no, I was gonna say, yeah, it's been great, like diving into your content and kind of picking your guys' brains a little bit. And I know, like I said, Logan mentioned to me that he'd been looking at you guys for a while. So he mentioned a while back the channel. So it's been fun for me to follow along as well and dig into that. So kind of to wrap things up, we have, like we said, we have a couple of fun sections towards the end. We have a rapid fire round, and then we have a shower thoughts section, just kind of like miscellaneous Pokemon thoughts. You know, the stuff that comes to you while you're in the shower, driving to work, whatever it may be. So we'll start off with our rapid fire round. These are just some super simple questions. First thing that comes to your guys' mind. We want to hear what you guys have off the hip. So Logan, I think you got our first one for us.
Yeah. So we kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but we're kind of curious, kind of getting the nitty, you know, just off the top of your head, thought of it. So your favorite strategy implemented through the years. So like what's like one of your favorite deck sets, one of your favorite strategies that's just out there that is one of your top favorites.
I love SPs. I love SPs so much. I think that was like the beginning of Big Basics taking over again from like the base era, but I love the engine. I love just being able to find whatever I need whenever I need it and be able to make like the best play that I think I can.
Beautiful.
That's cool. I like that.
For me, I guess not quite standard anymore, but in the standard of 6 months ago, Lost Box. It's a very skill-heavy deck, so it's super fun to outwit opponents with it. It's a stage, or not a stage one, but a non-big Pokemon deck, right? You're trading one prize for two. So that always feels good, and I really enjoyed playing it. Unfortunately, I played it for a year and a half straight, and now I'm sick of it. But for that time, it was super fun.
It was good for that time. Nice. Next rapid fire one we got for you guys. What is your favorite era art style? And this can be like a specific rarity or from a specific set, or even if you have a specific card in mind.
Gen 3.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. Particularly the artist Koki Saito is my favorite.
Yeah, Koki
card
Saito
game artist.
I love him.
Wonderful art.
I agree on that.
That's awesome. I like that.
EX era is probably my personal favorite as well. Probably a little bit of bias with the nostalgia, but I mean, I think objectively it's up there. So good call.
Yeah. All right, and then favorite card from the years. Do you guys have like just a favorite card overall that you're like, this is just for some reason, or if you have a specific reason, this is just your favorite?
I really like Magnezone Prime, and like I really liked playing that with Eels
Nice.
when that was in standard, and like just being able to like draw like outplay and to be able to just blow things up with Lost Burn. I love it.
Lost Burn, yep. That's a good one.
For me, it's Neo Espeon, the one that's like skipping across the pond. I don't know if it's particularly playable, but it just looked super cool. It was the first holo I pulled where I was like so impressed by the artwork that it became my favorite Pokemon, which was solidified after I played Coliseum. And yeah, I have one somewhere around here. I was gonna grab it, but I think it's over there,
somewhere.
And I'm not gonna get up. So
don't worry, Aaron. It was playable. It'll be coming up in the next video.
Oh, there we go, teaser. Yeah. There we go. I appreciate the Coliseum.
You guys are so good at what you do.
I appreciate the Coliseum shout out as well. It's come up in a couple of episodes from other people, and anytime Coliseum comes up, I just got to give a big old thumbs up for that. Nothing feels better than I know, right? We're waiting on it, but nothing felt better as a 10-year-old, literally the opening act of the game, you're blowing up a base, and I'm like, what's going on, man? I just like kill a bunch of Team Snag'em guys, and I'm riding off on a motorcycle, and all double. Yeah, great game, by the way. So good shout out there.
Excellent.
Last rapid fire question we got for you guys. Favorite track from the Pokemon games, whether it's a route theme, battle theme, gym theme, character theme, whatever it is. And you can name a couple if it's hard to narrow it down.
I really like the Mystery Dungeon soundtracks. I really like Mystery Dungeon Explores the Sky. I think, what is it, Time Tower or Temporal Tower, like the final like big dungeon. I think the soundtrack for that is just fantastic. How like the clock's ticking when you get to like the final floors, like it's a lot more like ominous. Like it's all really good.
Yeah, good choice.
Love that.
Pokemon throughout the years has had so many good, just really good soundtracks. There's so many songs that incorporate things that reflect the environment, and yet my favorite is still Emotion from Black and White, which is just a simple little piano sadness and sorrow melody, but it's just so beautiful.
It is. That's a classic one. I feel like you can't go wrong with that one. I love that one.
I feel like for me recently, Marnie's theme from Gen 8 is also like really powerful for some reason. Like I just think because Marnie's got like a really interesting, storyline struggle in the games, just because she's popular, but she's going through all her stuff and stuff like that. But it's I just think that her theme really implements a lot of like a character arc in it. So I really like that too. So
nice.
I also want to shout out Coliseum again and give an honorable mention to Pyrite Town.
Pyrite. Yeah, the classic.
There it is.
Or anything with Mirror B, right? Mirror B's battle theme is up there for me as well. So, but yeah, the snaps from Pyrite theme is just Pyrite Town. It's a banger.
So good.
I think just being so nostalgia driven, Pokemon in general. I'm sure a lot of people say it, but I think I just can't go wrong with Little Root or Twin Leaf. Just the starting town, where you're from, and very heartstring tugging melodies. So I mean, yeah, and then there are bangers. I mean, then there's some amazing Elite Four theme. I actually think the Elite Four theme from Scarlet and Violet's really, really good. Even the theme from the final battle against Professor Sara and Turo is really good as well. So
yeah, that one's intense.
Anyways.
Well, and that's like what makes it so hard when Aaron and I have been like trying to pick songs for Alex. Is it's so tough to.
It is. It really is.
You don't want like all these like crazy battle music in the background, but it's also like, man, those are good tracks, and I wish we had a way to implement those.
I know. Well, there's the emotional, like nostalgic sounding ones, and then there's like the adventurous route themes, and then there's like the super epic like Elite Four gym battle themes that are it's like, man, how do I narrow it down? So it's the same thing when we're trying to like pick one for our intro or for our outro or whatever. It's like it's just hard not to pick a banger. So, well, on our last section here, we have our shower thoughts. So these are just kind of miscellaneous ones, not necessarily. I mean, some have to do with the TCG, they might not. We just want to hear what you guys think on some of these. So first one we got for you, if you could add a new type to the game, what would it be? And if you can think about what its offensive and defensive capabilities would be, what would you have off the top? Like, I know people have said, I'd love to see like a light type or a sound type or something like that. Is there anything off the top of your head that you guys would like to see?
I mean, I think in the TCG, I wish that they had more of a delineation between grass and psychic. Like, I wish they'd introduce like a poison type or like a bug type or something, just to like
break it up a little more.
I guess now the poison types are dark types. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So I'd like them to, I guess, like maybe that's like my answer, not answer, is I just wish they had like a better way to delineate those.
I mean, they had fairy type for a little bit. Now that's psychic type too.
I know, right? Yeah, that's psychic now. It's all over. Everything's psychic type apparently. So it's a default.
I don't know. I would go with maybe like some kind of, since we have fairy type as our most recent type, kind of going with the same theme. Some type of like counter to it, like a dark fantasy type of some kind. I don't know what the name would be, but like a direct opposite. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Okay. I've heard some people say like magic or something along. I doubt they'd call it like, if it's going to be like anti-fairy, I doubt they'd call it like, like wizardry or priestcraft or whatever. I don't think they'd go for like that for like a Pokemon game, but something like that. Yeah, I like the train of thought you got going there.
You could do like arcane or something like that. That might be.
Yeah, there you go.
That might be good.
Ooh, yeah,
arcane type. I think there's a lot of Pokemon that could be reworked into that type as well. I think there's some good ones you could do with that. So
you got Delphox. That's definitely one that I'd rework into that. Because also magic is different than psychic, so it's like you could make some good shifts. I feel like That'd be fun. All right. So, and we're just kind of curious, if you could design the art on a card, what Pokemon would you choose for it? And then which TCG eras would you reference, kind of shout out, or kind of use for inspiration?
I think I would like to do so I think I'd do like Skyridge era style artwork, but I think I'd like to put like a Gen 3 Pokemon in that. And maybe it's something as simple as like a Spinda, kind of like waddling around the temple, or maybe like a Cacturn or something going around the Nazca lines design
Beautiful.
that they have going on. I just think like there's a ton of untapped potential with that set's art style.
Yeah.
I love that.
For me, I would probably actually go with something modern, kind of going off of the signature rares or whatever they're called, art rares. I don't know, the ones that are super cool artistic pieces.
Yeah.
And I would feature just some Pokemon that nobody cares about. I don't know, Shinotic, maybe like.
No, that's a perfect one. That's
just one that I can make.
I forgot that Pokemon existed.
Exactly.
There you go.
Just make a super sick scene for it where the card's memorable, even if the Pokemon's not.
I love that.
That'd be nice.
I
That's
think
so cool.
Shinotic's like the epitome of the Pokemon, where you see it's like, oh yeah, that's a Pokemon, right? Yeah, that's just give like the most amazing art to like just the most random Pokemon out there. That's amazing. No, this is kind of what you were saying, Nick. I like that's why I really like the they did it for celebrations a little bit, like doing like the light talk, like Pokemon from different generations and like older art styles, like the light toxicity. You had the Delta species Mimikyu. Well, I even like, back in the day, like before they went into a new generation, there were a couple like promos, like you had the old Latios and Latias cards that were e-reader cards before EX actually came out. Then you had the Lucario EX before Gen 4 and all the Level X cards came along. So I like seeing, Pokemon and those different kinds of art styles. So those are good shout outs.
I do got to shout out the from the most recent Pokemon Direct. We got to see that, like, with that TCG game that they are releasing, they're doing that really cool like art journey. Like if you click on a card,
Oh, you
I'm
can
really
like zoom in and move around. Yeah. Looks really cool.
I think that's gonna be super cool, and then they can do. I think that's gonna be really, really awesome. Sorry, excuse me.
I only hope it's affordable.
I know, right?
Yeah,
that's the catch.
Big thing.
That's the big catch. Sweet. Well, last question we got for you guys before we wrap up. So obviously we got Pokemon Legends ZA coming out. What do you think the starters will be, and what different typing or I guess form would you give the final evolution? So obviously we got Cyndaquil, Rowlet, and Oshawott, and they all got their final forms, new types. Who would you like to see get some love, and then maybe a new form?
Well, we know it won't be any Gen 6 starters if it's going to follow the pattern.
Right.
I
think Meganium definitely needs some love.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
That's funny. We've actually we asked this question to a few people. I think everyone we've asked so far on this one has said Chikorita and Meganium to get some more love. So I like it.
I think, and the thing is, I think it's because we all love Meganium. We just wanted to get like like in my mind, I've always loved Meganium. It's like it deserves some good love. It's underrated, like there's potential there.
It's just funny because like competitively, it's not very good. So to give it like an extra typing or another ability or something just to buff it up a little bit would be much appreciated. So I think it's any others that you guys are thinking of.
What's crazy is I think like the Gen 6 starters could benefit from that too.
Ironically enough, I know, right?
All of the Gen 6 starters would be on my list if I didn't know for a fact that they weren't going to be picked.
Well, with megas being teased, I wonder if the Kalos starters will get a mega evolution.
And that's kind of my other thing is like I think of Swampert and Sceptile and Blaziken, but they all have megas.
Right.
I wouldn't do any Gen 1s because they're going to get love anyways.
Right. Don't jinx it.
Yeah.
We could get like a Mega Infernape or something.
That'd be sweet.
Cool.
I think that'd be pretty
That'd
sweet.
Be cool.
Or even Torterra. Torterra's sick.
I love Torterra.
Yeah.
I think there's some good options, yeah.
Show Primarina Love. What's the starting form for that even?
Poplio.
Is it Poplio?
Poplio.
Yep.
Man, I didn't play a lot of Sun and Moon, like the video game. I just know from the card game. I just remember that everyone was like, "This thing's bad in the video game, and it's bad in the card game."
Oh, it's so sad. That's so sad.
I
they
play
have
a game with
do
it so they can eat it.
There you go.
It's grown on me design wise, and actually competitively, I can, at least we do Nuzlocks on the side of Hardcore Soul Link Nuzlocke, and I've seen the power that Poplio can have, just because bulky water fairy type is pretty strong. Honestly, like it can do some work.
So
I think we're missing a fire type. Do you guys have like a fire type that you want to see?
I think Infernape would be a good one.
Oh, Infernape. Okay.
Yeah, I'd be down for Infernape, because I think most of the other fire starters have enough going for them, or they've like
That'd be cool. I like that. So Chikorita, Poplio, and Chimchar. I like that.
There you go. That's a good mix. I like that.
That's a good mix.
All right, when we're right though, make sure you note that.
We have the receipts right here. I'm bookmarking the timestamp right here. So
I will email Pokemon Company myself and say, "Hey, did you consult our guys Nicholas and Aaron before you did this?" Because
if not, we're gonna need some royalties. I doubt they would ever own up to that, but we want royalties anyways. So that's awesome. Well, we've really appreciated it. We know, obviously you guys are busy, but great to have you guys on to, like I said, to pick your minds, to kind of dive into your content, to what you do, get some extra perspectives on the history of the TCG, and then have some fun with some different questions. So before we sign off here, we'd love to just get some maybe some plugs for what you guys have coming out, some teasers for what you have up in the pipeline, and then leave the people with some nuggets of wisdom, whether that's about life, about content creation, about the TCG, anything that you'd like to leave with our listeners.
What do we got, Aaron? Well, I can confidently say that we are 3 or 4 episodes away from hitting Gen 3. We're finally almost done the WotC era of the game, which is crazy.
Yeah,
that's exciting. That's really fun.
We got a video covering the Game Boy game coming out next, as voted on by our Patreon.
Nice.
So that should be fun when it comes out.
And I think the other one is, and I don't want to say too much, because we don't really know what it's going to look like yet. I was talking to Aaron a bit about this, probably to the point of him getting annoyed at me before this, but we've been talking about doing top 10s for a little bit, and I think we have a really cool idea for the first top 10 that we're gonna get to highlight a bunch of different people in the retro community. And so I don't know when it's coming out. I haven't even started scripting it yet, but I think there's big things on the horizon for Ruby Retro all around.
Beautiful.
Makes me excited. I'm pumped.
Good stuff. Now, hit us with some nuggets of wisdom, whatever you guys got. This could be life related, TCG related, content creation related, whatever you got for us.
Stop comparing yourselves to others. Just stop it. Other people are going to be better than you. Others are going to be worse. You got to be you. You got to find what you're good at and capitalize on it.
Beautiful. I love that.
I think, like, for me, I'd say that it's never too late to, I guess, kind of like recreate everything. During 3L, I basically like moved my entire life around. I wasn't planning on living where I'm living now or having the job that I'm having now or doing a lot of the things that I'm doing now. Minus this was always, Pokemon was always going to be in it, but I think just like, I'm like almost 30 and even still like it all worked out great. So I think just like never accepting what's in front of you.
I love that.
Love it.
Beautiful.
That's
Beautiful
awesome advice from both of you guys.
Beautiful nuggets of wisdom right there. So don't compare yourself, just do you, and don't be afraid to recreate yourself. Never too late. So good stuff, guys. Well, hey, again, we appreciate it. We'll plug all of your stuff in our description, of course. We're still growing ourselves, but we'll got everything in the description for you guys. We'll plug some of your recent videos. As for us, we got some interviews in the pipeline. We've had several here over the last couple of weeks. So over the next few Saturdays, we're going to be pumping out some weekly interviews that we've had with some awesome guests, as well as continuing our live stream of Pokemon Elite Redux. It's been nuts. So we'll be posting on our community tab, as well as on Twitter, or I guess X now. I still say Twitter, but whatever. When we're going to be going live and doing that. So whenever anyone can stop in and say hi, we'll be doing that. And until next time, Gil Link signing off. See you guys.
We'll see you guys.